this video, I'm talking with Dr. Bill Prebola. Bill's a partner at Northeastern Rehabilitation Associates. He holds several appointments at hospitals throughout Northeast PA, and he's dedicated much of his free time to his family, as well as to volunteer efforts. Now, Bill squeezes just about as much juice out of a day as anybody I know, and he was generous enough to sit down and share some deeply personal things about himself, and in return, Stonehouse is delighted to donate to the NSAF, the National Scholastic Athletics Foundation, which is opening doors to the world for our youth through athletics and then providing them opportunities to succeed. You can find a link to this great charity on our site to learn more. Now let's get to it. Bill Prebola, Dr. Prebola. I probably should call you doctor.
No, Bill.
Let's keep it formal. But let's see. So you're a husband. You are father of one daughter.
Yes.
3 sons.
That's right.
Full house. You're I had to write all this stuff down because there's so much stuff here. Just going through it quickly. So you're a successful physician, business owner, school board member, outdoorsman,
Yes.
as you can tell by our scenes here, and involved with a lot of charities, been doing a lot of things, extra things, if you will. What high school did you go to?
Wyoming area, down in the Wyoming Valley.
Do you have stories about that?
I do, not for this podcast, however.
Wait, there's more. I have more stuff to go through so people understand what kind of a guy I'm sitting with here. So University of Penn, bachelor's degree. Then you went for your medical degree, Thomas Jefferson.
All right, Philly.
And, okay, I'm going to have to take a deep breath for this thing, okay? So director of the Pain Center program at John Hines Institute of Rehabilitation, medical director of rehabilitation services at Geisinger Wyoming Valley Hospital, Geisinger South Wilkes-Barre Hospital, and Center for Advanced Rehabilitation at Wilkes-Barre General Hospital.
That's right.
A
A lot of administrative titles, that's right.
Also partner at Northeastern Rehabilitation.
Yep, that's right.
There are rumors, I heard on the way over here, there are rumors you may be a Jedi Master. Is that?
That's next.
Is there any?
I'm in training.
Yeah, where do you go for that one? Basically, as I was taking these notes, Bill, getting ahead of this podcast, and I was thinking to myself, there's a common thread here, and it starts with your entry into the medical field, which is you've basically spent a lifetime of helping people get better.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, feel better.
Absolutely.
Right? So I know that we coached alongside each other in junior football.
Yes.
And my son, who's helping me with the camera work and the mics today. And I was laughing. Oh, I have a story about your son, Matt, in a minute. But this is the funny thing I say. And this is a common thread with really wonderful people I know. And I'm going to count you in that category. But
Thank you.
busy people are the ones you ask, right, to get things done. And I think with all the stuff we just listed there, and I know you have a school board meeting right after this.
Right.
How is it that you squeeze so much time, so much in your day? Because I know if a really important topic came up to you tonight, you would come home and you'd start to work at it. How do you do all that?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I've been asked that before, and I think it goes back to when I was in college. I mean, I left a little farmette in Harding, Pennsylvania, and I went down to Penn, and I was thrown in an environment where there was a lot of work. I was a 2-sport athlete at Penn, and juggling that schedule was very difficult. So I think it started back then when I was 17, 18 years old, and it's efficiency of time. And, as I went through medical school, the same thing. It's how do you manage time? And I think I learned from the school of hard rock, so to speak, of just trying to get as much done in as little time as possible and just maximize what you do. As a matter of fact, Bob, my wife will tell you, I actually, every day I have a little 3x5 index card that I fill out with all of the chores that I have to get done that day. And that sits in my pocket all day.
You do?
I do. And I am kind of a little compulsive about that because I check it all the time. Like, oh, I've got to do this. I know we have the iPhones and the technology, I'll use some of that, but I still have a paper and a pen, and as I get my things done, I cross them off. And as I go through my day, I, kind of notch that one off. If I circle it, it could be used for tomorrow, so I put the circled things on the next day's list. I know that's kind of odd.
Is it a feather quill or is it
No,
an
it's
actual
not a
dolphin?
feather quill. I'm not that old. But the reality is, I think that just learning how to be an efficient person with a schedule. And I think, in my physician practice, I have my doctors and my PAs, efficiency is scheduled. You can get a lot of things done. And then get out of work. Go home.
Yeah.
Go and enjoy your family. Get your stuff done. I tell my employees, if your work is done at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, get out of here. Go get your oil changed. Go do what you got to do. Go spend time with your family. Come in ready to go tomorrow.
Right.
And I think it works well.
Talk to me about that drive, that passion, and ambition. How do you vet things? I mean, you can't get behind everything,
Right.
No matter how efficient you are, like
Right.
you said, in
Absolutely.
your day. So when you get behind something, where does all that come from? Is that
Well, okay. So
there's a lot there?
there is a lot. There's a lot there. We went from character to Tiger Fun to a whole bunch of things. But I'm going to try to answer for
Keeping
the...
you off balance.
You are. I'm off balance. I got to be honest with you. I think, this might be crazy, but how do I want to say this? I hate to lose.
I know that.
So that's a drive. And I shouldn't say I hate to lose. I love success. I've walked away from projects because I wouldn't be invested in whatever the outcome would be. Okay. So yes, my business, we started it years ago and it's grown nicely and it's a big practice. Now we have over 180 employees, 22 physicians, and I was the fourth guy to join, but I started the Wilkes-Barre end of things and just built that practice. So that was a life-sustaining thing. You have to do that, right? You know that. You're in business. So local business people are like, to keep my business going, I have to put the energy in. So then you look at what you do to help people. And I don't want this to get all gushy, right? But the reality is I thoroughly enjoy sports. I always have. As you know, I mean, we coached Aiden, soccer, football, everything, and track. So I like to use my life's experiences to help kids and just try to steer them to say, hey, just to try to get if you work hard and you have goals and you want to succeed, there's nobody that can stop you. I don't care where you come from in this life. I firmly believe that if you want to succeed in anything, you can. And I think one of the other reasons why I joined the school board, which is a voluntary, there's no pay, there's no health care. People say, why are you doing that to yourself? Because the reward is you help these kids. You help them succeed with whatever they want to do. They want to go to college, help them succeed. They want to go to the trades, help them succeed. They want to be a good person, be a housewife and a mother, help them to succeed. So you surround yourself by people that have those same goals. And so I wouldn't say it's that I hate to lose. It's just that I like to succeed. So when I volunteer for these things, I want to know what the end game is. The Tiger Fund, for instance. Actually, it was on those two chairs over there that I had my very first meeting. No offense, you weren't there. Rod and I spoke because Rod was the old football coach at Tunkhannock, and he was a Tunkhannock football player. So it led to, we wanted to see what we could do to help our athletes. And then it bloomed to, well, why don't we help all the kids? Not only the extracurricular, but how do we help all the kids? Then we got you. And then we were the three people, I think, that kind of talked about how to do this. And then we kept on bringing other people in, and I learned, and you guys helped me, and I want to thank you and Rod for that, of course. But I also looked at this and I said, well, what's the Tiger Fund's end game? What are we doing it for? I mean, I don't need a picture in the paper. I don't need a podcast. Thanks anyway. But the reality is it is to help kids. And as you said, we talked about funding keeps going down for public schools. I was a product of public school. I got out of a public school with being fairly smart out of Wyoming area and athletic, and I leveraged that into a great education. And not only the education of getting into a good college, but also the education of learning that if you have your goals and you work hard, are you going to fail? Absolutely. I mean, every successful person will tell you, and you know this because you're a successful person, where do you learn the most? Not from your successes, but when you hit those failures. And you say, and I tell my kids this all the time, not only my athletes, but my kids, what are you going to do now? It didn't work out. Do you throw in the towel and say, oh, woe is me, or it's that guy's fault, or this girl? No, it's nobody's fault sometimes, but it depends when you're at that crossroad of a little bump in the road, what are you going to do? Do you fold the tents or do you move on? And I think that just, through the Tiger Fund, we can provide those kinds of things to kids to help them succeed. In athletics, that's what we try to do. Someone doesn't have a good game. Hey, so what? Next week's game. Mm-hmm. So what are you going to do? You're going to go back to the locker room and cry? Or are you going to go ahead and buckle the chin strap on hard the rest of the week, work hard, and be successful in this game?
Yeah.
So.
And you've always been, what I liked about you from the start, Bill, is you've always been a guy I've never seen you play the blame game. And I personally come to you when we've done things jointly where, you get frustrated and I'm like, hey, let me just bend your ear for a second. And I think almost always if I'm trying to figure out something, you're hey, we can't change that. How do we move forward? Right? And that's a unique quality. And I do want to call you out and give you credit for that. Thank you. Because I think I need more people like that around me.
That's the silver lining, right? That's what I learned. Like, you can't go back and change the weather last week that ruined your outing, but what are we going to do next week? Yeah. That's the key.
You're successful as a physician, as a father, as a husband. Like, you can go to work, come home, go hunting, go on vacations, stop for ice cream, whatever it is you want to do. You don't have to do any of the extra stuff, but I know that you're doing a lot of the extra stuff. What would you say to somebody if there's no magic statement, but why don't more people do that? I know most of the people that I know that don't really give back much at all. It's a small few that support the many. And I'm just curious if there's anything have you thought about that before?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a formula or if there's a gene or I don't know.
Could be a gene.
For me, it's the reward, as we talked about. It's that, what's the end result, the end game. And I tell my wife this all the time. On my headstone, I wanted to say Coach Prebola. I don't want to say Dr. Prebola. I really don't.
Okay.
And I don't mean that in a negative or a positive way, but what I really mean, I love coaching the sports kids. I mean, I've coached all of my kids, but I've coached a lot of other kids. And I really believe that through athletics, through sports, it is a great life's lesson to how to succeed. Hey, there's people out there, Bob, that are in the 2%. The 2% of the best when it comes to sports. Kids that don't have to practice, and then they step on that football field and they run the ball and they just have it. It's natural. That's 2%. Then there's 40% that are really good athletic football players. I'm going to stick with football because I know that the best. Those are the kids that have to work hard, but you know that they're working hard and they're good and they're going to be successful. And then there's another 50% that they work hard and they can be better working hard, but they just aren't gifted with the coordination and things like that, but they're good players. And and then there's that less than 5% that they're not going to be quote unquote the stars or even the above average, but they work really hard, but they're a key component because those are the kids that I like to say to the really good kids. I say, you see that kid? That kid's got the biggest heart. Maybe not successful on the football field, but when it comes to business later in life, when he's 30 years old or she's 30 years old, whatever, I don't mean to be sexist or chauvinistic, but they're going to succeed because those are the kids that are getting knocked down every day. They get back up and they get back in the game. Yep. And that to me that's what drives me. It's a lot of time. There's no doubt about it. It's a lot of time. And that's the time management. And I think that a lot of people shy away from that because maybe they're not efficient in using their time, and maybe they just don't have the time because they have other things that they have to do.
As you're heading into, the next chapter of your life, right? I've been talking to folks about, I've been talking a lot to retirees that we work with or that we're friends with and asking them about that transition as they've gone from just going full bore, some extra hours and they're building up to retirement, then all of a sudden, there's this letdown, right? And I'm not asking you about retirement, but at this next 10 years of your life, where's your passion lie right now today? What are you working toward? Obviously your family.
Yep.
Yeah. Did I answer that for you?
You did. But, I thought about, and there's some people that we know together, that 10 years ago, I told them I was going to be retired by the time I'm 55. Well, here I'm 57 and I'm not going full blow into practice. I have taken more time off to travel and do things with my family and my wife. Obviously, we still have the kids in high school and college, so we have some commitment there. What am I passionate about right now? It's not retirement. It is enjoying what I have. I'm 57 years old, and I know that there's the life changes, and you start thinking when you get to this. When you're 20 years old, you think you're going to live forever. Yeah. When you're 30 years old, you're tired because taking care of kids and starting your business and things like that. When you're 40, you're starting to reap the rewards. You're seeing the kids, and it's crazy busy. You don't think about this. But now all my kids are kind of getting to the age where they're a little bit more independent and autonomous. They're still part of my family, obviously, and I want to help them with their college and things like that. But now I'm starting to think like, hey, man, I'm at the end of the third quarter of the big game here. So, what do I really want to do?
You're hoping for overtime.
Absolutely. The reality is, Bob, I ride my quads a little bit more, drive up on the hill and just sit there and watch nature. I know I'm a big hunter, but it's not about pulling the trigger anymore. It's just really getting out and enjoying. Yeah, really. So I don't have a passion for quote unquote retirement. I'm changing from hunting. I'm doing more saltwater fishing. So I've been getting into that a little bit more. I'm fortunate enough to have a small place in the Florida Keys. So we go down there, especially during the winter. It's really nice to just get away. And I'm thinking that that's probably where I'll gravitate towards, not move, but just spend more time down there, especially when the weather gets colder. I'm getting older. I've had a couple of back surgeries and a couple of, fractures and things like that over my lifetime. And I've got more aches and pains than I did even a decade ago. So that warmer weather is a heck of a lot better than those cold deer stand 12-hour sits waiting for a 30-second deer shot.
Which is there's plenty of footage of that.
Oh, plenty of it.